You were Jewish who lived in Lebanon at one time.
That's right.
Were you born there?
I was born there in 1964. My whole family's Lebanese. We've always been in that region since time immemorial. Uh, some of my grandparents were from Syria, which is just the neighboring country to Lebanon. We are what's called Mizrahi Jews. Mizrahi Jews are the Jews that are Arabic-speaking Jews from the region, right? So Algerian Jews, Egyptian Jews, Iraqi Jews, Yemeni Jews, Lebanese Jews. So these are completely Arabized Jews, right? Our culture is Arabic. Our mother tongue is Arabic. Our food is Arabic. Our music is Arabic, but we happen to be Jewish. And so I was part, when I say I mean my family. I was a kid. I was only 11 years old when we left. I was part of the last group of Jews that had refused to leave Lebanon. My parents were well entrenched within Lebanese society. But then when the Civil War broke out, it really became impossible to be Jewish because there was a long list of militia groups, one rougher than the next, who weren't very keen on having Jews being around. And so we really had to flee, by the skin of our teeth.
Amazing. I grew up thinking that all Jews were white looking, and then and I discovered.
That's what I always joke with people whenever they come after me. I tell them, hey, you better be careful. I am a Jew of color, and I outrank you in victimology poker. Don't tell me your sob story about growing up in the hood in Detroit, because my victimology story is gonna squash you. And believe it or not, Mr. Peterson, they usually run away because, as grotesque as it is, for most people, they no longer debate you on the substance of your ideas. They debate you on whether you score higher than them on victimology. If you're bigger on the victimology, you win.
That's right. And so in Israel, are all the white Jews in Israel and the ones of color like spread it out the rest of the world?
In Israel, you have both the indigenous Jews, the Jews, the Mizrahi Jews, but you also have a lot of Ashkenazi Jews who were not in Israel, right? They came from after World War II from, Central Europe and Eastern Europe. Those are the ones that you would consider to be a lot more Caucasian. I think you have a mix of both. But interestingly, to show you that racism exists across all peoples of all colors, regrettably, even within Israel, you have racism towards, quote, Jews of color, the Arabic Jews, the Indian Jews, the Yemeni Jews. The Ashkenazi Jews will look at them as the so-called, lower folks. Not always, but that's been the general story. By the way, when I used to be a soccer player, I used to be called, it's a very pejorative word. I won't repeat the whole word, but I used to be called Sand the N-word because the Arabic folks, the Jews of color and the Arabic folks, that's what people would call us, Sand N-word. So there you have it.
Amazing. And so in Israel right now, they have black Jews that they found somewhere.
So those are, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
Those are what? And then I'll finish mine.
Yeah, those are typically the ones that I think you're talking about. They're called Falasha Jews. They're from Ethiopia.
Yes.
And I remember one time I was at my nephew's high school graduation. This beautiful, he went to a Jewish high school, and this beautiful, distinguished-looking Ethiopian girl was walking the procession of the graduation. And so I wanted to kind of sense what my parents' reaction would be if I asked them the following question. I said to them, hey, Mom, Dad, this is many years ago, maybe 25, 30 years ago, way before I was married. I said that if I brought home a black girl, would that be okay with you? They said, is she Jewish? I said, okay, she's Jewish. They said, we don't care. So it shows you how people create different delineation. To them, they didn't give a damn about your skin color. As long as you were Jewish, you're good. You could be black, you could be purple, you could be white. It's all good as long as you're Jewish.
That's amazing. How old were you when you left Lebanon?
I was 11 years old. I had just turned 11. So about 2 weeks after I turned 11, we got out of there. And I tell you, I discussed this in some detail in chapter 1 of The Parasitic Mind. The stories, the things that I saw during that first year of the Civil War is more than what 1 million people should see in their lifetimes. all butchery is always measured in contrast to the Lebanese Civil War, because it was the most savage form of hatred, because everything in Lebanon is viewed through the tribal prism. That's why I get so upset when all the progressives now talk about identity politics, because I say to them, I am the product of the perfect identity politics society. If you want to see what happens downstream when you constantly create tribalism between people, go back and see what happened in Lebanon. Because in Lebanon, what you have is you have an internal ID card that, so nobody cares about your height or your eye color. What they care about is what's your religious affiliation.
Yeah.
Are you a Maronite Christian? Are you a Sunni Muslim? Are you Jewish? Are you this? Are you that? The constitution of Lebanon is all based on religious heritage. The prime minister has to be of a religion. The president has to be of another religion. The number of seats that you get in parliament depends on your religion. So everything is organized. So there is no individual dignity. You're not Jesse Lee Peterson. You are what your religion is.
Right.
That's what defines you. You're incidental. Nobody cares about you. What tribe do you belong to? And so it really breaks my heart to see that here in the West, we're now adopting the things that I ran away from 45 years ago. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's amazing. How do you feel about knowing all that? How do you feel about the attack upon white people, white America, white people in America? They're blaming them for everything. They really want to demolish them. How do you feel about that? What do you think about that?
It's grotesque. I mean, look, it's grotesque when racism is targeting blacks. It's grotesque when racism is targeting purple people. It's grotesque when racism is targeting white people. Any time that you look at someone and you look at some immutable trait of theirs and you say, I'm going to judge them, whether good or bad, based on this completely irrelevant trait, guess what? You're a racist. So I despise the idea when people do this magical trick where they say, oh no, but people can't be racist against whites because whites hold the power. Nonsense, right? I mean, there are racist black people, there are racist white people. So I detest this. And again, I say progressive because you see it on university campuses where I live.
Yeah.
You have these seminars, how to detoxify yourself of your whiteness, yoga to get rid of your whiteness, seminar on, I say, how is this tolerated? Imagine if we replaced the word white with black, we would have a civil war.
Yeah.
But as long as you're tackling the hapless white, then it's okay.
Amazing. And so what religion is a purple person?
Say again?
You said we have purple people, we have black people, we have white people.
What religion is a purple person? I don't know. Maybe they're atheists. Who knows?
So one last thing about the homeland that you fled. Was
Sure.
it hard for you and your family to leave there?
It was very hard because what ended up happening in Lebanon is that the fighting from day to day was so severe that if you went out into the streets, I mean, first of all, you could die in 17,000 different ways. The snipers were always, as a matter of fact, I would go out of my house and I was told, don't stand here because that's within the line of the snipers over there. You could only stand there. That's what you learn as a child, okay?
Amazing.
Now, the other thing that was very, very rough in Lebanon, I mean, death awaited you at every corner, but one of the best ways to die, or one of the most assured way to die, is that if you actually traveled across Beirut, the city where I live, there would be these random roadblocks set up by different militia groups. Well, remember I told you that we have this internal ID that has your religion on it. Well, if you're stopped at a militia checkpoint and they're not sympathetic to your religion, there's going to be a bullet in your head very quickly. And so thousands
Wow.
and thousands of people would be liquidated in any given day because they would just happen to be driving to go pick up bread during a ceasefire, and then they would be liquidated. So for us as Jews, we had to go through a very, very difficult road from where we live to get to the airport. As a matter of fact, this might shock your audience, we hired Palestinian militiamen, PLO, at the time. PLO stands for Palestinian Liberation Organization. So these were very, very staunch fighters, Islamic fighters. We hired them to drive us to the airport because at the time, a lot of the military and refugee camps of the Palestinians were around the Beirut International Airport. So there was no way you were going to get to the Beirut International Airport and take a flight to leave if there wasn't somebody who was sympathetic to your cause. Now, of course, if you're hiring PLO militia to take the Jews out of Lebanon, you don't know if they're going to take your money, drive you to a ditch,
Right.
put a bullet in your head, and say, what a bunch of suckers, we just got their money. So imagine us being taken by these guys, not knowing if they're going to kill us the next second or if they're actually going to be honorable. So this is the kind of life that I lived growing up. So that's why I'm not very sympathetic when people whine about their victim, where LeBron James whines that he has to go through the dangerous route from his Malibu home to the Staples Center because, there's a daily genocide of people of color in the United States. You know what? You're pissing me off, and you are, forgive me for saying, you are urinating on those who have truly been victims.
Yeah.
And that's why I have no sympathy for a pampered guy like him.
That's right. One other thing, why didn't the Jewish people defend themselves from the attack there?
Because we were a very, very tiny minority. You're talking, I might get some of the numbers wrong, but if, let's say at the time, Lebanon was maybe a country of about 3 million people, you're talking about less than 1,000 Jews in Lebanon.
Oh.
So it's not as though, there was much that we could have done to defend ourselves. And the Jews were not well entrenched, within the military because, Jews can't do this and Jews can't, people don't understand what true systemic, when we had in the US slavery, that was systemic racism. That was real institutionalized hatred. One group says, you are less than me. Well, that's how it is in the Middle East with Jews, right? Everything in the Middle East is viewed through the prism of Jew hatred. If it rained today, goddamn Jews. If it's sunny today, goddamn Jews. If you got diabetes, those goddamn Jews not giving us the cure for diabetes. Your wife cheated on you. Who put those sinful thoughts in her head? It's the damn Jews. Everything is the Jews. So, don't whine when you're in the West about your victimology. Others have had it much worse.